What's up, fourth graders? Back by popular demand is your Unit 4 study guide review video following the strategies on your Unit 4 study guide answer key. Stick around. All right, we are going to start by reviewing the Section A checkpoint portion of our study guide. This is decimals. This is way back. It's been a long time since we talked about decimals. The one thing we have to make sure that we do all throughout this test and throughout everything we do is make sure we read everything closely. They are always going to give you all the information you need to be able to make a good decision. The large square represents 1. So this here is one whole thing. We talk about Reese cups a lot. We talk about all kinds of stuff, but it's one whole. This is a whole thing. So these numbers are all going to be smaller than 1. What number is represented by the shaded parts? They want to know what this shaded piece is. Write your answer both as a fraction and as a decimal. So I'm going to just go ahead and put my fraction bar here because I know I'm going to need a fraction. And I'm going to go ahead and put my decimal here too. I know there are 0 holes, and there's my decimal point. I'm going to get this in decimal notation, and then I'm going to start to figure this out. So the denominator is the total amount of equal parts in the whole. My students, it's a little song that we sing. How many total parts are in this whole thing? What is this cut into? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No, I'm not going to count each individual thing. I'm going to count 10, then I'm going to count by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. There are 100 total parts in this whole. So what that tells me now is all I have to do now is count the shaded parts. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 55 pieces are shaded. 55 of the 100 pieces are shaded. So now what I have to remember is that a decimal point has places just like a place value chart. So this here is my tenths, this is my hundredths, and these are my whole numbers. And this is what I have to remember as I go through these decimal questions. I've got tenths and hundredths. The tenths are these lines here, and the hundredths are these small squares. So each one of these rows is a tenth, and each one of these little boxes is a hundredth. And so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hundredths. I've got 55 total pieces colored in, 5 tenths and 5 hundredths. Now, number 2 says, estimate the location of the following numbers on the number line. We have some number line tips that we use in our class for every number line we ever see. The number one thing we do when we see a number line is we study the information we've got. Study the info we have. We need to look at this number line. So I'm going to study this number line. Okay. I have a 0, I have a 1. The number line from 0 to 1 is cut into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces, which means it's cut into tenths. So my whole thing is cut into tenths. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's cut into tenths like this, not in hundredths like that. So each one of these lines is a tenth, okay? And I have additional tenths going off to the side, okay? The second thing we do when we have a number line is we find the half just for our own information. So if this is cut into 10 pieces, half would be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's the half. My half is 0.5. It's 5 tenths. 5 tenths. So that's the halfway mark. Now, that is not part of what I need to do, but it's just good to know. It's just good to know. So now we're going to estimate the location of all of these numbers on the number line. So I'm just going to start with the first one. 0 and 43 hundredths. Okay, well, this number line's cut into tenths. So I'm going to start with the tenths, the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 tenths. And it's not 5 hundredths, it's 3. So we're just going to put that a little bit this way. Okay? 0 and 43 hundredths. So I'm drawing these little lines to kind of show us where we're at, right? 0 and 43 hundredths, because the 4 is in the tenths place, and this is tenths because this number line is cut into 10. So next, 0 and 3 tenths. 1, 2, 3, it goes right on the line. 0.3. Now the next one, it's going to be tricky. I'm going to tell you it's not here. This is not it, because this is hundredths. There are 0 tenths. There are no tenths, so it's going to be before the first tenth because there are no tenths. So it's going to be right here, 0 and 9 hundredths. Because in order for us to turn this number line into hundredths, we have to take each of these sections and turn them into 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So if we turn this into 10, the 9, it's actually going to be closer, but my marker's too fat. All right, next two. We have 1 and 2 tenths and 1 and 2 hundredths. These two are very, very tricky because they seem so similar. But we have to remember that these little lines are tenths. This is the tenths and this is the hundredths. So 1 and 2 tenths, we go, here's the 1, right? We have a whole number in this one, 1 and 2 tenths. And then this one here, 1 and 2 hundredths. Again, there are 0 tenths. See that? So there's not going to be any tenths here. So it's going to be back here because it's 2 hundredths. Remember, we cut this little section into 10 to get us our hundredths. So it goes back there. All right, and finally, order the following numbers from least to greatest, making sure we read the directions, realizing that they're asking us to go from least to greatest. We have to look at the smallest first and then go to the largest. I'm going to look at the whole numbers first. They're all the same, so that doesn't matter. Now I'm going to go to the tenths. 5, 4, 3, 5, 6. Here's my smallest, 6 and 39 hundredths, excuse me. And then the next smallest tenths we have is the 4. So 6 and 4 tenths comes next. Next we have a tricky piece, 6 and 52 hundredths and 6 and 53 hundredths. Well, we know that 52 is smaller than 53. So we're going to put those in that order right there. And then 6 and 6 tenths is going to come last. We're going to look at each digit, then move to the next to see which is bigger, which is we just did. All the whole numbers were the same. Started with the tenths. Put those in order and then matched up our hundredths. That is the review of the Section A portion of our study guide. Stay tuned for Section B. All right, so next we have our Section B checkpoint. We move out of decimals and into whole numbers, and we start talking about how to write whole numbers, the value of the digits within the whole numbers, and then taking that into some things that we call 10 times the value. On number 1, again, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to read what they want us to do. They want us to write this number in expanded form and in word form. So we have two things that we need to accomplish here. When we write a number in expanded form, we are going to get every digit by itself and the value of every digit. So when we take this number, 436,089, we say the number, 436,000 is the comma, and then we say the other part of the number. That is how we read these numbers. We talked about that in detail. 436 is the first part of our number. 1,000, the last part of our number is just 89, holding that place because there are no hundreds, so we have to make sure we notate that. So 436,089. We're going to take each one of these digits and we are going to get each digit by itself, asking ourselves, what is the value of the 4? The 4 is in the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s place. So the value of the 4 is 400,000. We're going to add the second part, the next digit. What's the value of the 3? 30,000. Add the value of the 6. The value of the 6 is 6,000. There are no hundreds, so we don't write anything. The value of the 8 is 80, and the value of the 9 is 9. We simply write the value of each digit. One thing that students will sometimes do is they will do this, and they'll get 2 digits side by side like this. And so we want to make sure we do not do that. That's why on your study guide it says, stretch it out. Write the value of each digit and get each and every digit by itself. We do not want 2 of these digits to be together when we are writing in expanded form. Now, to write this word in word form, we're simply going to write what we say. We say the number, we say 1,000, and we say the number. A lot of people, I tell my students, I'm like, do not throw this word 1,000 around like candy at a parade. 400,000, 30,000, 6,000. No, we just say it once. 436,089. So you just write what you say. 436,089. So say the number, say 1,000, say 89, 89. Say the number, 1,000, and say the number again. That is how you write it in word form. So, number 2, select all the numbers in which the value of the 7 is 70,000. Now, in a normal test, I didn't do this on the study guide, but normally I will never have the word all there. I will always have a number. I will tell you how many you're looking for. We're actually looking for 2. We're looking for 2 digits, 2 numbers of these 6, where the value of the 7 is 70,000. So again, this is just knowing that this is the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. And this is just something as 4th graders that we just know at this point. We just know these things. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So if we have a 7 in this spot, that means we're going to have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So those are the numbers we're looking for. Letter A, the 7 is not in the 10,000 spot. It's in the 100,000 spot. Letter B, the digit is in this 10,000 spot. Letter C, the 7 is in the thousands. Letter D, the 7 is in the 100,000s. Letter E, the 7 is in the thousands. And letter F, the 7 is in the 10,000s. And that's just a matter of knowing these places. And finally, write a number where the value of the 5 is 10 times the value of the 5 in 152,318. I tell my students, if there's a question that you don't understand, read it again and read it slowly to yourself. So we talk about reading questions 3 times. So I read it once. I'm going to read it slowly now. Write a number where the value of the 5 is 10 times the value of the 5 in 152,318. So write a number. That means you get to pick any number you want. Any number you want. Where the value of the 5, okay, so my number has to have a 5 in it, is 10 times the value. When we hear 10 times the value, we know that it is talking about a number that is 10 times bigger. My number has to be 10 times the value. My 5-digit 5 has to be 10 times the value. It has to be 10 times bigger. So any number I want where the value of the 5, so the value of the 5 in here is in the 10,000s place. So if I want a 5 that is 10 times bigger, we know that from 1 to 10s is 10 times the value, 10s to hundreds is 10 times the value, hundreds to thousands is 10 times the value, thousands to 10,000s is 10 times the value, because we know that how many ones does it take to make a 10? 10. How many 10s does it take to make 100? 10. How many hundreds does it take to make 1,000? 10. Think about those models that we have. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Oh, that's not true, is it, Mrs. McGinnis? That's not true. This thousands would look like this, right? 10,000s would be a large cube, like our tissue box model that we have. And then 100,000s would be the largest, right? So if the value of my 5 here is in the 10,000s, then the value of my 5 on this number needs to be in the 100,000s. So I'm going to write any number I want where there's going to be 6 digits and a 5 in the 100,000s place. I'm just going to make this easy on myself. It could be anything. It could be 542,976. It could be anything. These are the ways we're writing an expanded form, word form, and then we're just working on the value of digits. These are some of the tricks. Say the number, 1,000, say the number. This is the image I would draw on the board. You just say this number, say the word 1,000, say this number again, and then just knowing these places. If you need to take a screenshot or something, this is a good time for that. Knowing these places, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, and 100,000s. Stick around for section B. Nope, section C. Stick around for section C. All right, here we are for section C. I've been saying this throughout this whole video. Read all of the directions. Order the following mountain peaks in Colorado from highest to lowest. Listen, if you don't know these words here, mountain peaks, you don't know this word Colorado, order the following things in this place from highest to lowest. That is what's important. So that means we're going to start with the largest number we can find. When we are putting numbers in order, the most important part is to read the directions. If you don't read the directions, you get it wrong. We're going from greatest to least, from biggest to smallest, from highest to lowest. Look at each digit place by place. So we're going to start with the 10,000s place. Looking at the 10,000s place, it's all ones. So that doesn't help me at all. I'm going to move to the thousands. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 4. So this is the lowest. So is it going to go on the top or is it going to go on the bottom? I already know. I think I'm going to write these over here. Well, maybe I'll write them here. I already know that this is my bottom number because it is the lowest. So it's going to go at the bottom. Now, I got 4, 4. I did the thousands. I'm going to move to the hundreds place. 2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 1. All right, so that tells me that this one is the highest. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put that one up at the top because I just know where that is. I don't have anything competing with that 4 in the hundreds place. So now I got a 2 and a 2 and a 1 and a 1. So I can choose. I can start with the lowest and fill in this bottom part, or I can start with the highest and fill in. It's up to you. It's whatever you want to do. I'm going to start with the highest, I think. 14,278, 14,265. Well, I know the 7 is bigger than the 6. So since I'm starting at the top, That one's going to be the bigger one, and this one's going to be the smaller one. And those are done. Then I'm going to move to what I have left. 1, 1, 1. I got 14,199. I got 14,196. I got 14,115. Well, I know that one's the smallest, or I can do the tallest. Well, I guess it would be tallest, wouldn't it? I can do the smallest, or I can do the biggest, whatever you want to do. I think I'm going to go ahead and put this 14,115 down there at the lower section, and then go ahead and battle, because see, I'm going place by place. I've got a 1 and a 4 and a 1 and a 9, and it comes down to the ones place. So the 9 is bigger than the 6, so that means that this one is here, this one is here. And students could do this a variety of ways. They could, sometimes they'll list the mountains, sometimes they'll list the numbers, sometimes they'll like put numbers off to the side here. It doesn't really matter to me either way what students choose to do. I don't care. Order, as long as they show that they can put these numbers in order, I am mostly flexible. All right, number 2, round this number to the nearest 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and write my number over here. And I am going to just go ahead. I'm going to write the number 1,000. So I know they're asking me to round to the nearest 1,000. I know that I am looking at the thousands place. The first question we ask ourselves, the number 1 question is, what digit do they want us to work with? What is the digit? The thousands place tells us what digit. The 9 is in the thousands place. Next thing we're going to talk about is, what is the bossy digit? Bossy digit, what does that mean? What that means is that we have a number line. We have a number line that starts at 569,000, because what we're doing is counting by thousands, and goes up to 570,000. We're counting by thousands, so when we count by thousands, we can say 565,000, 566,000, 567,000, 568,000, 569,000, 570,000. So what's the rules for the number line? Study the number line, find the half. This would be 569,500 would be the halfway mark. So what that is saying is that this number is the one that's going to be doing the changing. The 8 tells us where the number falls on the number line. So the 8 is the bossy digit, and that tells us that this number is going to fall right about here somewhere. And so the question we're asking when we round is, what number is the given number closer to? That is the question we're asking. And so what digit are we talking about? The 9. What is the bossy digit? The 8. Then we know we need to either go up or we need to stay. What is the 8 telling us to do? If the bossy digit is 5 or more, so 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. If the number is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, we're going to go up. If it is 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, we're going to stay. We're not going to change that number. So the 8 is telling the 9 to go up. The 9, this one's kind of tricky. The 9 goes up to a 10, but we have to give that 10 over here to the 6. So that becomes a 7. And then all the value, so the value of the 9, what's the value? That's the next question. What's the value? The value of the 9 is 10, which changes the 6 to a 7. And so then we have 70,000. It's closer to the 70,000. The step that a lot of students forget is replace the digits in front. A lot of people forget to put those digits back there. So let's look at this number for rounding to the nearest 10,000. Let's round this number to the nearest 10,000. What is the digit in question? The 6. What is the bossy digit? The 9. The 9 tells the 6 to do what? Go up. The 6 becomes, what's the value of the 6? If it goes up, the value of the 6 is now 70,000. And then we have to replace the digits in front. So we have 570,000 for that. Look at the place they tell you. What multiple would be the number be that's closest to? That's what we're talking about with these number lines. And then finally, let's look at the digit for 100,000. What digit? 100,000. What's the bossy digit? The 6. What's the value? What is the 6 telling the 5 to do? Go up, right here, or the 6 is telling the 5. The 5 turns into a 6. The value is 600,000. And there are no digits in front, so you're done. The thing to remember is wherever you start, all these digits are going to turn to zeros. This one's going to go up or stay, and then the digits in front are going to remain. That's the trick to rounding in Section C. Section D coming right up. All right, and lastly, Section D. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to read the directions. What do they want us to do? They want us to find the value of each sum or difference. Sum or difference. These are vocabulary words. Sum is the answer to an addition problem, as we know. Difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. That is really the key here. So many students will go through here and do this. When it's not a subtraction problem, it's an addition problem. So we want to make sure we're paying close attention to that. So when we find the sum, we're adding the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, and the 10,000s. So we can just kind of cover these up. 4 plus 3 is 7. And then go to the next. 9 plus 2 is 11. We cannot write the 11 here like this. We're going to put the 1 in the ones place down here, and then the 1 in the tens place we're going to put up here because we're giving the hundreds place a 10. It's 10 times the value. We're giving the hundreds place, and it's really 90 plus 20 is 110. So we're going to give the 100 to the hundreds place. 7 plus 5 is 12. 700 plus 500 is 1,200 plus this one is 1,300. So we're going to put the 300 in the hundreds place and the 1,000 with the thousands. 6,000 plus 6,000 is 12,000 plus one more 1,000 is 13,000. We're going to put the 10,000 or the 1,000s down and the 10,000s. We're going to put it over with the 10,000s. And then 20,000 plus 10,000 is 30,000. That makes the value of this 30,000. That is what we're talking about through this whole entire lesson, all the way back in Section B. What is the value? That is the heart of this whole unit. Even Section A, the decimals. What is the value? We're talking about value of digits. Okay. So we're going to make sure that we are being very careful about the signs. Watch the signs. What are they asking you to do? This is asking me to add, put things together. This one here is asking me to subtract. I'm going to be very careful. Now, I am going to subtract 357,168 minus 258,429. Here is what I have to be thinking about. When I have these numbers on top of each other like this, the biggest number, which we know is the 300,000, goes on top. Because think about it. If you have 258,000 something something, Can you take away 300? No, you can't. So you got to put this number on top. The problem that causes is that once you do that, now I've got this smaller digit up here, and I've 8 minus 9. If I have 8, I can't take away 9. So what do? 8 minus 9 is impossible. So I'm going to continue to go find help. So I'm going to go next door, 8 minus 9. So I can take one of these 10s, borrow one, then I have 5 left, give that 10 to the 8. Now I have 18. And then what I like to do is I like to make sure everything's possible before I find any of the answer. So I want to go through this whole line and find out what's possible before I start working on the answer. So 18 minus 9, we're good. 5 minus 2, we're good. 1 minus 4, that's not possible. So I'm going to go over to the thousands. I'm going to borrow 1, turn this, that becomes a 6. And then I'm going to give that 1,000 to the hundreds place. So now I have 11 hundreds. 11 hundreds is the same as 1,100. So now 11 minus 4 is good. 6 minus 8, that's impossible. So I'm going to go next door. I'm going to borrow a 10,000 here. That becomes a 4. That 6 becomes a 16. And then 4 minus 5, also impossible. So this becomes a 2, and the 4 becomes a 14. So this is a little more tidy on the study guide if you want to look at it on the study guide. So 18 minus 9 is 9. 5 minus 2, which as we know is really 50 minus 20, is 39. 11 minus 4 is 7. 16 minus 8 is 8. 14 minus 5 is 9, and 2 minus 2 is nothing, so we just leave that there. You don't have to put the commas in your answer, and I almost would prefer that you didn't, because sometimes people accidentally put a decimal point instead of a comma, and you need to be very careful that you don't do that. But the commas, they go every 3 places if you use them. So 1, 2, 3, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, that's where your comma goes. All right? Now, the hardest part about subtracting in 4th grade, using these zeros. Used to be hard, but now it's not. Find the value of 100,058 minus 86,249. Here's the thing. A lot of this is impossible, so we have to just go find help. Go find help. 8 minus 9 is impossible. I'm going to borrow a 10 here. 5 becomes a 4. My 8 is now 18. 4 minus 4 is possible, so that's fine. Now I'm going to go here. 0 minus 2 is impossible. Does this 0 help? No. Does this 0 help? No. Does this 1 help? Yes. The 1 becomes a 0, and this 0 becomes 10,000. Now we got to help this one. So we're going to borrow from the 10. The 10 becomes a 0, sorry. We're going to borrow from the 10 to help the 0. The 10 becomes a 9. Now this, we've taken a 10,000 and we're going to give it to this 1,000. So now this is now 10,000. Still need help here. So we're going to borrow from this 10. It becomes a 9,000, and then this becomes 1,000, which is 1,000. So here's what we've done. We've gone and we've found help until we've got some. I feel like I want to do that again. I feel like I want to do that again and make sure that in this video it's very clear about how to do that. So I just want to do that again real quick. So here's our number. Here's how I would think about this. 8 minus 9 is impossible. Go next door, get help. I'm looking, go find help. Go next door, 5 becomes a 4. This becomes 18. 4 minus 4 is possible. Okay. 0 minus 2 is impossible. I need help. I need to go get help. This 0 is no help. This 0 is no help. Here's 1. I'm going to borrow that one, and you got to just give it right back down the line. So this goes here. This becomes a 10. Now I need to help this guy. Borrow from the 10, that becomes a 9. Give it to here. Now I need to help this one. Borrow from the 10, that becomes a 9, and this one is a 10. Go all the way down and get the help you need, and then bring it back however far you need to. So if you had like 200,000 minus whatever, need help here, no help, no help, no help, no help. Here's a help here, 1, then this one becomes a 10. I need a help here, so I'm going to borrow 1 from the 10. That turns into a 9, this becomes a 10. I still need to help this one. That becomes a 9, this becomes a 10. I'm just passing that 10 back, back, back. So I got to help this one. This one becomes a 9, now this one is a 10. This one becomes a 9, now this one is a 10. I'm going all the way down and getting the help I need and then coming all the way back until I'm able to properly subtract. So that's when 18 minus 9 is 9, 4 minus 4 is 0, 10 minus 2 is 8, 9 minus 6 is 3, 9 minus 8 is 1. There's my answer, 13,809. All right, well, this concludes our review of our Unit 4 study guide using the strategies and the information on our Unit 4 study guide answer key. Everything I said in this video came straight off of this answer key for each section. Make sure that you are reading the directions carefully and that you are doing all of the things on this sheet to help you just kind of jog your memory about what we've talked about in class, all right? You have any questions or concerns, you can leave a comment in the chat. If you are not in my class here, then please leave some comments in the chat. I'd be happy to help you too. This concludes our Unit 4 study guide recording.